People will want to shame you or guilt you into exercising your power. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Healing into Femininity. It's me, Joana Fatonji, your host, and let's get right into it. So today, it's a mix of a few talking points, but definitely also a story time. So today, I want to talk to you about this guilt. And I always use myself as the example, right? So the guilt of using your privilege to your own advantage, and this is somehow bad. So, what do I mean by that? So, as I said, I have been a life coach for now 7 years, and I have invested a notable amount of money into my certification training and also into my business, of course. And that's why I started as as a high ticket coach being 27, 27, 30, like all up until now. And one of the biggest struggles that I personally had was not necessarily with myself calling up these prices, but really how people reacted to it, even though they had the money. So I realized, especially also in working with my clients who obviously got the money, that many times the topic of privilege was a topic. So I used to have this one client. She was a German girl, and she came from a wealthy household. Her mom had this, I think, rich boyfriend, a husband. They had their own business. So she grew up um she studied at this private design school, and then also later on she was just always well off, so she didn't really have any kind of existential fears or anything. And she came to me with having the dream of becoming a designer, which she actually became. But I remember that even for me, being in this very intimate and private container with her, her like sharing, because what I do in my practice is that people, like, it's a proven concept. So you get audios, you get journaling prompts, and you have the coaching sessions where we speak about the the things that come up, like literally the things that come up that want to be repatterned, the stuckness, right? So I can always help my clients to stay on track with their growth instead of sabotaging themselves. So there was this topic of money. And even though she always had money, also for her, it was kind of, um, yeah, it was shadowed by guilt and shame. And that's the funny thing, you know, sometimes you think more affluent or people who have money that they feel more free or carefree with actually having money, but that's not always true. I know personally, I know masterminds of other coaches and trainers and consultants and things like that, where we literally create, and this is also my community, um, we literally want spaces where we can speak about our successes, because the average person, it doesn't dare, or the average person doesn't dare to speak about their success. Or let's say the average person probably is not so successful, but if you get a few steps up the ladder, and if you are stacking privileges, I borrowed that term from my other inspiration. So stacking your privileges, meaning having pretty privilege, right? Like being a beautiful woman, taking good care of yourself, taking good care of your hair, your nails, your skin, your beauty. Yeah, it doesn't have to be amounting up to any beauty standard, but you just look like you take care of yourself. So that is a privilege right there, beauty privilege. Then probably, if you're successful in your business, you also have social skills, right? So you have social skills, you have people around you, you have your clientele, maybe you have girlfriends, you're socially climbing. So that is another privilege. You are articulate, maybe you can sell, maybe you have the skills to build community around you, you uplift people, so you have a tribe, you have people around you, which is a huge privilege, right? Then, of course, your education Probably this is also, of course, what I realized, and now just really, while speaking about it, I just really realize how I have been going through life and what I didn't see. As I said a few times, it was a little naive, but it was just the way it is. If you are There's this saying which I really like a fish in the sea doesn't know that they're in water, right? So if something is so normal to you, you don't really think about it. And this is it for me. So of course, the people that I attracted as my clients, they were high caliber people. So um social media influencers, or this girl who was in an inspiring or aspiring designer, and the other girl, like this girl that I just spoke about, she was a white German girl. And then I had another client who was actually, she's quite famous. So we also talked about that she comes from a privileged background. Like I think her parents are quite affluent. So she had always probably had the support of her parents financially to go for her dreams. So that is what made her be in the position that she is in now. So going to a certain kind of school or university, attending certain kind of um, abroad trainings or programs, this all costs money. So if your parents don't have the money, you can't do it. So these are the kinds of people that I worked with. And I always remember that if you, like now, even this channel or in general, social media is about visibility. And visibility is a form of vulnerability as well. Like you put yourself on a pedestal, right? And you also make yourself vulnerable to criticism. That's the thing about like polarity. I think even before I studied like psychology and spirituality, I always remember that people in media said, if you are a brand, you polarize. And what does that mean? Some people will love you and some people will hate you, right? So that's it. Where there's light, there's shadow. So that's true. So when people go into these positions, like whether it be social media or if you want to build a brand and become a businesswoman or whatever, you have to do inner work. I strongly believe in that. So if you are somebody like that and you want support, just hit me up on joannafatonji.com. But you need support, you need mentorship, so somebody can help you stay on your path without you constantly rerouting, being kicked off of your pedestal by your personal insecurities, or maybe you don't know how to act when something comes your way. And with that being said, I just want to make that point that with my client, that she was actually, this is how I understand her audience. She was like, her mission was to to work for equality in the representation space in German media, because German media, like the regular media, is white. Is very white, is so far behind. I think, like if we want to compare ourselves maybe to the UK or to the US, in Germany, the normal media has been still not really telling other stories. Yeah, so she is one of the advocates for that, because she wears a hijab and she is like Asian looking Muslim woman, so very unique phenotype. And she also brought other women on stage with her, all kinds of people, other Muslim women, brown skin, like all shades, right? All shades of women of color. So that's what she stood for. And of course, these women, me included, we can, if we go about it in a very general sense, which is totally false, and I will talk about that, which is totally false, we might, even ourselves, we might have this internalized classism inside of us, thinking that women like me or like us, these women that I just like yeah, explained who she was kind of fighting for in representation, we might think that these women are underprivileged, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like underprivileged, probably, yes, of course, in some sense, but in representation. But she herself came from a more affluent background. Like her parents, I remember they had um this real estate. It was a multi-story real estate building. That's just one thing that I know. I don't know if they have more, but I know a little bit. So with that being said, like even she herself, being a woman of color, being a woman who wears a hijab, born and raised in Germany, I think, even she had like this question in her mind about if she could openly express her wealth, what, like on her way of becoming more and more wealthy and successful, and if that would be okay, kind of having it in the back of her mind that she serves this underprivileged community. So I hope you get the point. But the thing is, first of all, and that's the topic of this video, we as a whole, like as a humanity, I think, yeah, we are so conditioned to be okay with suffering, right? It's so normal that socially accepted to complain. It's socially accepted to mourn and to complain and to suffer and to just be mediocre and to be like, oh, life is hard and life is bad. And that's acceptable. Like I've never liked that. Like honestly, I've never liked that because it's like you're weighing me down. Don't kill my vibe, right? Like literally, if I remember back in my life, I've never liked to be around people who complained. But this is so socially accepted. But if you like flaunt your beauty, especially, I don't know, probably it's everywhere, but I am speaking about my German experience. I feel that in particular in Germany, there is like no brag culture at all. Like my dad is from Ghana, and just knowing Africans or even Middle Eastern or like probably all, let's say, more traditional cultures or cultures who are actually experiencing this social divide more, where people just know that it's a classist society. It's no, I think in Germany they kind of want to hide it or something, or maybe in America as well, but especially in Germany, I don't know. Like it feels like classism, they want to hide classism. It's like we have equal opportunities and everybody's always talking about equal opportunities and things like that, even though we know there is no such thing as equal opportunities. Like even if you try to change the system a little bit, children will always be underprivileged by the household they come from. That's just what I believe. So but what I want to say again here is somehow we are so conditioned that we are not allowed to share that we are actually well off. I'm well off. I have money. I stand by it. I am privileged. I'm not going to take away my privilege in order to, like, is this one saying that I learned from my mentor is you can never be poor enough for to make another poor person feel good. Why are we afraid to say that actually, hey, here, I am privileged, I have a few things going in my favor, and I can actually do something with that, right? Because it is about like you have to use your privilege in order to get to a position of power if you actually really want to change something, right? You have to use your privilege. But this is what I realized while I had my clients working with them and those topics coming up, really, yeah, just really, really talking about, okay, I am ashamed. I feel bad. I feel guilty. I feel some kind of weird to actually say that I'm privileged, that I have money, that I have status. Like, obviously, you have status if you're a social media influencer with a big following. This is what's going on. And I think the problem that people might feel is that it's over here, you're trying to kind of fight classism. You're trying to fight like capitalism, supremacy, classism, and all of that. Like when we talk about maybe Black women or something like that, is futurism, texturism, colorism. You're trying to fight those things because you feel like it's not equal rights and this shouldn't exist. I fully agree. I fully agree. And if you watch my other video, like decentering everything outside of yourself, I fully agree. Like this system was made up or invented by the white man. And everybody else is playing along. I didn't invent that system. Yeah. But we can't pretend that it's not there. And we definitely can't get rid of it by pretending that it's not there because all of us have subconsciously and just through being part of human society, we have absorbed parts and probably a lot of this conditioning. Yeah, this is what we call the internalized racism, classism, sexism, colorism, featureism, like texturism, all of these things, all of these internal isms and schisms, we have internalized them um, not knowingly, just by living on this planet. My mentor always calls it the human condition. It's a human conditioning because we're living in this world. Yeah, and as I also said, the world is not the earth. The world is a mental construct that has manifested in the power structures that we see. But it doesn't have to be that way, but we have to decondition the mind, do the inner work to free ourselves from the internal oppression, more or less. Oh my God, it's getting more political than I thought, but yeah, that's just what it is. Okay, so but I want to come back to the guilt of the privilege. So, and I think that's exactly what it is. So I believe, and this has been me too, and I still have friends that are very aware, like we're very aware. I think, especially, like I know a lot of women of color from all kinds of like walks of life, whether it be like gypsies, I don't know the word if it's in English, if it's allowed, but right, like Roma, I know Black women, like unambiguous Black women, I know everything, mixed women, Croatian women, like everything, like Germany is really a melting pot, and I have indulged in that melting pot. So I believe that the women that I know and the women that I tend to surround myself with are like highly educated women of culture. That's how I call it, women of culture, highly educated women of color or women of culture, and also very like aware of the social structures, but also aware of healing, aware of deconditioning the mind, of releasing trauma, emotional intelligence, emotional health, mental health, right? Physical health, like that's what we're into. But this is what I feel that we're not really talking about privilege stacking. And I want to really make that a point that we feel ashamed of claiming our privilege because a lot of the people that we associate with or the people that we actually kind of, how do I say it best, that it's not that we associate with those people necessarily, but sometimes, of course, it's our family or it's our extended family or it's the tribe, right? It's the people that we kind of have a loyalty to just by phenotype or just by, yeah, I have the Black experience, I'm mixed. And of course, like a part of my blood, of my family, of my ancestry, of my now living family is Black. So I do associate and I do associate with these people, with us, like my people. And of course that we know there is struggle attached to that group of people. right? There's struggle attached to that group of people. And but if you are not experiencing this, this is also something that I can say, and I have said it, and I will say it again. I personally haven't experienced too much racism in my life while living in Germany. I haven't. Since I'm young. Like since I'm young, I don't know why, but I really can't I really can't jump on that bandwagon of being a victim. Probably I am a victim in a systematic way or something like that. But personally, I can't really subscribe to that messaging or to that victim story. And I'm not telling anybody is making themselves a victim. Racism is real. I do acknowledge that. But me personally, I haven't really experienced it like heavily, you know? So this is not really part of my struggle, and it's true. And this is something that I am not ashamed of sharing, and that's also part of the story that I want to share here. It's it might be my privilege. It might be my light skin mixed girl privilege with this kind of hair, maybe also just my speaking skills. Like like here I'm speaking English, but my German is perfect, if not if it's better than my English. um and yeah, my mom is white, so I also feel comfortable around white people, also joking with them or just relating. So I don't know what it is, but I have not really felt racism towards me. So I think this is something where we associate and we have loyalty and we have solidarity for a group of people that we also feel like we belong to, but maybe we have different experiences by having privilege. And that's the whole point of this video. And we shouldn't be afraid of using those privileges. And not everybody has to talk about it. I know, like, I'm talking about it because it has been on my heart, and I just want to release all of this now with this YouTube channel. But you don't have to necessarily talk about it. But this is something that I definitely realize, that people are using their privileges, but we are afraid to talk about it. And I personally believe if we don't really talk about things, for me personally, it has always been where I felt like I don't understand the world. I don't really understand what's going on because so many things in culture, in society are like unspoken of things, right? So again, I believe that this is my experience, that a lot of people are feeling ashamed or guilty to admit their privileges. And I believe that if you don't, like, if you silently sneak through life with knowing your privileges, that's also fine. But maybe you're also keeping the awareness of the privilege from yourself because secretly you are afraid. Secretly, like the internal oppressor is oppressing you from realizing that you actually have more power than you dare to admit. As I said, a privilege can be your look, right? A privilege can be your financial background, also giving you access to certain things from an early age. The school you go to, maybe the area you grow up in, the outside school activities you could partake in, going on holidays and travels with your parents. Yeah. So this is also why I used to feel privileged when I was younger. Like I always felt like I had everything I needed. Of course, there are people that are way more wealthy than me, absolutely. But actually, when I was younger, I actually felt rich because I think I said it before. Like my mom always worked. And my mom, like, I love my mom so much. Like, I just want to say that again because she really gave us everything that we wanted. So we could go on holidays. My mom and her husband, they went on holidays for a long time. So my parents separated when I was 10. And after that, our life got better. Like financially, it got better because I think my one of the reasons why my mom also left my dad was because my dad, like, he was making good money, but he sent most of his money back to Ghana, which is also very common with migrants who come like from their home country to like a developed world country, like I'm not perfect. Don't scrutinize me with all the political correctness. Um, so that's what my dad did. He supported his whole family back in Ghana, and then he built a house, and all of the, like most of the resources went back to Ghana. So my mom, at one point, she was like, I'm not going to take that anymore. I actually want to live my life now. And I think that's one of the reasons. So after that, we had a two-person household, and I felt like I had everything I wanted. I could do what I want, like I could do the activities that I wanted. I went traveling. I had brand clothes, like not everything from head to toe, but the things that were important to me, I could afford them, like shoes and jeans and things like that. And I had technology. My mom, like she was into the internet and computers very early on from 1999. I can remember that we had a computer and we had internet and all of those things. So and I'm just making a point, like if that's you too, like I think it's okay to acknowledge the privilege, right? It's okay to acknowledge your privileges and not to feel guilty of them, but to actually use them. Use yourself, use your privileges. All those things that I just mentioned also come with the privilege of, yeah, maybe going to like having the peace at home to learn and then to focus on your education so you could go and pursue higher education, right? So that's the thing. What else are we probably, or what I commonly see, what we're feeling ashamed of, or we feel like some sort of guilt. And as I said, I had that too. Also, with the guilt of actually having like this high value business. I am a life coach, as I said, and I learned like really amazing skills from the faculty that I trained with, which is one of the elite training or certification program in the US. And yeah, what can I do? Now I'm owning it. But I really felt that some something was like the social pressure of like, how dare you take those prices, because are you not supposed to serve the underprivileged community? No. Like actually, I am serving those who want to level up. And this is also, I'm thinking about one of my clients who I love, and we are still friends to this day, and also business partners. She was like a quote unquote an underprivileged woman. Like she comes from a also migrant background, and she went to law school, and now she has her own production firm. And we met over the internet, where we were like in this social group of like Black billionaires, like all entrepreneurs. And we she became my client, and I didn't make a like exception. She had to, of course, invest the money that my programs are worth, and she did. So she actually also invested around 12,000 euros into my program. And this is the kind of client that I want, because I also didn't come from like money, but I had the confidence in myself to invest the kind of money that I invested into my program, into my coaching certification, which I always like to say just to make it real, right? That it was like until now, it was almost 100,000 euros. Yeah. So it was successively, not everything at once. But I just want to say that I dared to invest in myself so I could learn something that I believe is highly valuable. It is deprogramming all of that shame and all of that stuff. And I help women to live their dream life, to design their dream life, to live into their dream life, to get rid of all the blocks and all the shame on all the human conditioning, so you can actually live your life happy, tranquil, self-loving, safe, mentally safe, emotionally intelligent, physically fit, and financially well off, because it takes a holistic approach to be really happy and healthy. So she, for me, like my client there, she was the perfect example of somebody who actually wants to level up, somebody who invests in herself. And this is what I've also seen with some other coaches or like wellness professionals or so, because they think they are serving the quote unquote underprivileged community, they now have to dump their prices. No, I'm not going to do it, because I paid for an elite education. So I'm not going to dump my prices, because, and again, this is also something that I learned, of course, and I'm going to give it back to you, is that if you actually lower your prices, it also signals to your client that you actually don't believe in them. You actually see them as underprivileged. You subconsciously send a signal to that person that you think that person can't afford it. Meanwhile, people are here out here getting designer bags and other things, like it's always about what do you value. If you value personal development, if you value mental health, spiritual health, emotional intelligence, physical health, financial well-being, if you value those things, it's good to get a mentor, and it's good to learn with somebody who actually learned from somebody that knows what they're talking about. So yeah, for me, it was just an important point, because I think like this whole um serving the underprivileged community, no, this is not a community service. Like, this is a business. Okay, this is a business, and I still, my personal favorites are women. Are women, ambitious women, women of color, Black women, all kinds of women who are cool, creative, and want to create their own thing, and who want a little bit support in their inner work. Yeah. So that's it. So again, guilt of privilege, right? What could you feel like around? What could you feel that guilt? Guilt of having money, as I said a few times before now, guilt of being beautiful, right? Also, like being overweight or being some kind of disabled or whatever. Like, I think we're also living in a society with this whole body positivity and everything, trying to make everything equal. It's a scam. It's a very, very big scam, even though I love the world to be more equal. I think it's something that you have to, it's gonna be slow. It's not just gonna happen overnight. Like, the mindset is not changed. So either people are in denial, right? They're just telling themselves some story, even though they don't really believe it, because we've all been programmed by this capitalistic matrix in doctrine. So don't want to go there into that too much, but people are privileged if they're beautiful. Yeah, beautiful meaning having some kind of health, beauty, beautiful skin, beautiful hair, beautiful nails, beautiful body, beautiful like physique. It all resembles health, right? It doesn't have to be any particular beauty standard, but be beautiful in terms of looking healthy. Privilege is being successful at what you do. Also, as I said, people love, like, the majority of people, I'm not perfect at it either, but the majority of people love to complain, they love to suffer, they love to get into drama. But if you are not participating in the suffering and the drama, and you're actually quite organized and ambitious and disciplined, you have nothing to really complain about. Like, you can complain about the world and how the world is, because it is bad. Yeah, but if you focus on yourself, and if you really focus on your own personal power and what you can do to better yourself, your life, and then maybe one day you will get into a position where you can help others by sharing your story, sharing your knowledge, sharing your privileges, then you can also exert impact. That's what I feel. So privilege is success. Privilege is also, yeah, social representation. And yeah, of probably other things as well, but like money, beauty, status, success, any kind of power that is a privilege, and we don't have to feel guilty for it. So if you have ever felt guilty to talk about your privileges, and yes, there are probably other people who are more privileged than you. Normal. Yeah, there will always be people who are not as privileged as you in all of these dimensions, let's say beauty, health, relationships, money, success, status, but there will also be people that are more privileged than you. But here, this channel is really about knowing who you are, and using your privilege. That's it. You can't change nothing outside of you. You can't change the world. You can't necessarily change the system. You can only change it from the inside out, right? By deconditioning yourself and getting aware of your own privileges and using your own power. And this is a video for a whole, like, not for a whole nother day, but that's also like, this is definitely one of my favorite topics. Why are people so afraid of power? Because we are living in a world that where we have been conditioned that people in power are always misusing their power, are always manipulating, lying, oppressing, exploiting. And that's why I believe that people have such a big problem acknowledging their own power. There's also this saying, it's very like, it's nothing new, but I think by either by Mariam Williamson or by Nelson Mandela, um, like people are actually not afraid of their shortcomings, but people are most afraid of their power, because power comes with responsibility. That's what I believe. If you want to, like some people out here in these internet streets are like, no morals. Okay, that's whatever. I don't really believe in that. I actually believe in you do what you have to do in order to get ahead, but with as less harm as possible. That's definitely what I do believe. I'm not here trying to exploit people, slaughter people. No, I'm definitely not here to do those things, and I don't promote it. But yeah, you can't change anybody else. Some people will ruthlessly abuse their power when they have gained some sort of power over, like if they think that they have power over you by their manipulation tactics or whatever, money and things like that. And this is also why I say decenter everything in the outside world. So nobody actually has power over you, because you don't need things. You don't need to get some sort of validation in order to feel fulfilled. Like you literally only need like food, shelter, clothes, water, those things. That's what you need. If you have those things, you're good. And then everything else is a bonus. And you don't necessarily always have to compromise your morals. Yeah, just by, I don't want to go too deep into another topic now. So what do you think about that? Have you ever felt, or have you ever experienced yourself being in a situation where you actually felt guilty about your privilege, whether it be looks, whether it be social status, whether it be money, whether it be, yeah, your life experiences and yeah, everything in it? Have you ever felt guilty or ashamed of your power, of your intelligence? That's also a form of power, your intelligence, where you dumbed yourself down. Oh my God, I definitely know that one. Like if you only talk to mediocre people and they don't know how to hold a conversation, you're like, okay, like am I going to have to live like that now so nobody here can hold a conversation? No. Like I don't want to do that, but I have definitely found myself in those situations. What about you? Have you found yourself in situations where you dumbed yourself down, or where you dress down, right? Where you dress down because of your beauty, where you dumbed yourself down because there was nobody who could match your intelligence, or where you just put yourself in a lower esteem, or where you started complaining along with the other people, even though your life is good. Your life is good, you're happy, you love your family, you have a beautiful home, you like yourself, and all of these things. So let me know how, like, what is your experience? And yeah, I'm looking forward to see you in the next video. Until then, take care.